use in there.
Would you guys mind introducing yourself to the camera real quick?
Okay, my name is Alan, and I'm from Cococheque, Turniff, and happy to see you guys, and I welcome you guys here.
Thank you.
And then this is a part.
Alright, my name is John. I'm from Cococheque too.
Cococheque.
Yes, Cococheque.
It was nice to meet
Yeah.
you.
Nothing
I
more.
want to welcome all you guys.
So these are our new friends. They work on one of the islands here for a guy that owns a house, as well as they do lobstering in the area. So we're going to try and go out with them and do some lobstering and spearfishing in the morning.
Okay. Leave your story, man.
Adios.
All right, bud. Well, how was that meeting Alan and John?
That was really fun. I was just telling Jordan it's cool to be so close to hurricane season and be out here, because they said they haven't seen a cruiser pass through here in the last month or so, and so they were super stoked to see us like do a bunch of trading.
And what did we trade so far?
We gave them a bottle of rum and I think like a gallon of gasoline. And then they gave us a bunch of lobster. They're gonna take us out tomorrow to do some lobstering and spearfishing and just exploring. The conversation that we had was all in English, so like Jordan was able to contribute as well. Whereas I guess like in Cuba, when we did have experiences with lobster fishermen, I had to talk and then translate, and it's just different when you can't speak the same language, I think.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Like, like they liked me because I was like bantering with them.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But like, if they spoke Spanish, I would just be standing there looking at them, like smiling and nodding politely.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. And like conversationally, like I like being kind of in the background. So, you know, when we have been in Mexico and Cuba in the past, like I have to force myself to just be like very, very talkative and ask a lot of questions. And it's always really rewarding and fun in the end, but I do have to push myself because I like being a little bit more, I guess, reflective in conversations.
Something that dawned on me, and we have experienced this a little bit in the past, like when we did meet some lobster fishermen in Cuba, like they were interested in selling us lobster right away. And from a traveler's perspective and backpacker's perspective, like you kind of want your interactions to not be monetary, right? Like a part of you wants to say like, well, that makes it less authentic, you know, if they're just trying to get something from you. The romance of traveling, you want someone to just be like, oh, like come stay in my home and eat all my food.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Yeah, it's here.
Yum.
To me, the flesh is nicer this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a better flavor than coming out of the.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome. My name's Tristan Mortlock, this is Captain's Vlog. We're going to go through crew perks today. And then, as a crew, they come, they eat whatever they want. Landing's done, or our laundry's done. We're quickly going to pop down to laundry now to speak to Jib, the 7% of the, especially for us, our surrounding. The Super Yacht Captain YouTube channel.
Coming out of the frying pan.
Yeah, absolutely.
like normal.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Whatever.
All right, bud, what's the plan?
Our goal today is to find some boobies.
Where the boobies at?
See some boobies over there.
Let's get those boobies.
Those are literally the coolest boobies I've ever seen in my life. Like everywhere you look, there's boobies. And all the boobies, am I right?
And all the boobies, man, especially the boobies. The boobies really make it all worth it.
When all the heads in the house turn towards the door, and no
our very first hole that we've sprung in the dinghy in Little Shit. So
I land again. Yeah, check out Little Shit and then Atticus. It's just how I roll. It reminds me of like the secret garden. I love how shady it is back here too. Actually reminds me a little bit of the Dry Tortugas.
So where are we, bud?
We are literally in a forest.
Is that right?
Yes.
What kind of forest?
A literal forest.
Ah, yes. My favorite kind of forest.
Do you know what distinguishes littoral forest?
A littoral forest is literally a forest that grows on a small sandy cay.
Yeah, we haven't run across any mosquitoes yet, which is kind of crazy, because up till now in our cruising experience, like this are in like a mangrove system, so you get a lot of bugs.
Yeah, this is dry and...
Buddy?
What?
I literally love you.
Buddy?
Yeah.
I've literally never loved you more than I do now in this littoral forest.
Literally, that is the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Hold on to something and grab a hold. Don't just say that you weren't told. I should come with a danger sign. Move on over, ladies, the seat is mine.
That sign's pretty funny. It says, has your skin ever resembled the bark of a gumbo limbo tree? Belizeans call it the tourist tree because its red shaggy bark is always peeling. But apparently they can use parts of the tree to treat sunburn as well.
After being on mangrove islands for so long, it's nice to see like a proper forest, you know?
With like birth or girth. Love the girth. Gotta have a lot of girth.
Girthy birth.
Girthy, literally birth.
Where the boobies at?
See some boobies over there.
Nice. Let's get those boobies.
Check out them boobies. Those are literally the coolest boobies I've ever seen in my life. It's really cool because as we walk through this part of the forest, like with each step, you can hear, there's almost like a force field that comes with me, and like you can hear all parallel to me, all of the little hermit crabs going crazy and walking around.
It's funny too, like with all the hermit crabs, I've noticed that if they see you and they think they're close enough to cover, they'll just kind of sprint to get out of the way. But if they're not close enough to cover, then they'll just ball up in their shell. They're like walking, and then they see you and they go, and it's like the funniest thing because it looks like they're pretending to be dead or something. They're like,
We just got to the observatory deck, and we're going to try to climb up there and see some more boobies. It's interesting because the closer we get to them, the more you can smell all the bird poop. But it's really cool because you can hear them. They sound like really loud and guttural. Right there, too. Gosh, they're like everywhere. This is great. Like everywhere you look, there's boobies. These red-footed boobies are the first we've come across on our travels on Atticus. They're the smallest of more than a half a dozen of booby species, and they're non-migratory, so they live on this island year-round. Red-footed boobies are strong flyers and can travel up to 93 miles in search of food. Boobies feed at sea, so you'll see them plunge diving and capturing fish that they see from above. They're super adapted for diving. They feature long bills, lean and aerodynamic bodies, webbed feet to aid with swimming, closable nostrils, and long wings which they wrap around their bodies before entering the water. When we were living in Key West, we saved up a lot of money and put it into Atticus working as captain and crew on different charter boats. And what we really enjoyed doing was learning about all the birds that we encountered as well as all the sea creatures that we encountered. So we actually learned a lot about frigate birds. And it's cool because there's a ton of frigates here. But what's neat about this island is that you actually see the frigates soaring like you usually do, but you can actually see them sedentary. So they actually have the largest wingspan to body weight ratio of any bird in the world. So because of that, they can just spend the majority of their lives just soaring through the air and sailing through the wind. So flying for them is essentially effortless. It's actually landing that takes a lot of their energy. I was just actually reading a sign down below that was talking about the male frigate birds, and how you can tell a male frigate from a female frigate is the male has a black head and like a red pouch, and they use that for like mating. And what they'll do is they'll inflate that red pouch and kind of show it off to all the ladies in the area. And what I didn't realize is that it expends a lot of energy and time to actually inflate that pouch. So in the sign that I read down below, it said it takes 20 minutes to inflate that pouch. So I just thought that was really cool. It's neat being able to like walk around and learn about these birds.
I'm slipping away, so don't let me go, nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love haze, so where do we go, nah, nah? Just let me know that I am safe here in your arms. I wanna stay, stay. I'm slipping away, so don't let me go now. The love is sick.
I cannot get over just seeing Atticus like peeking through all the little trees, and I keep on looking over. I'm like, that's our boat. Yeah, I just love being the only boat out there in the anchorage. Like, you just look out and there's ocean, 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 and then Atticus.
I'm slipping away.
So another really cool thing about this island is along all of the beaches you can see all of these rocks, and these are all skeletons left behind from coral after it's been broken up from hurricanes or whatever. And so here you can see this is a skeleton of what looks to be like a brain coral, and so the animal itself would have been the flesh that kind of clung to this skeleton that it itself produced. And then here you can see these are individual coral polyps. So here it's easier to tell where each individual organism began and ended, whereas with the brain coral it's a little bit harder to tell. But what coral is basically is it's a community of small individual organisms or polyps that do two things. They get food out of the water as well as photosynthesize. But the coral itself doesn't photosynthesize. It's actually the algae that lives inside of the coral. I think it's called zooxanthellae, I think is what it's called. Zooxanthellae? These pieces, we're looking at the top. So this would have been the actual where the organism lived here. This would have been the top here, and this is how they grow. So basically, over time, the organism just builds a new skeleton on top of its old skeleton, and so it grows vertically and out. This is basically a cross-section of all of those massive structures that we call reef. And so Atticus right now is not exposed to the open Caribbean swell because there's a large reef structure that is just like this that's breaking up those waves. And so it's really cool to be in a place that has so much coral and such an abundance that you can literally just walk the shoreline and see thousands of, examples of skeletons of coral.
Feels beyond, it's out of control, oh baby, I love the rush, it overflows, it's out of control, I'm in love.
I was just thinking, thanks for getting us through the boatyard. I had so many low points where if I could have just taken a picture of just our legs and then this sandy beach and all the different colors of water and then the island in the distance, and just told myself, don't worry, it's gonna take 3 years, but it will happen, don't worry. But instead I really honestly so many times didn't believe that we'd actually end up cruising. It just seems so far away. And I couldn't have even imagined this kind of beauty and privilege to be out here, So I feel really lucky. Yeah.
Poor buddy.
Yeah.
Sweet cry buddy.
I'm a sweet thing.
Glad you think it was worth it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You can't make up an island like this,
Yeah.
you know? And all the boobies, am I right?
And all the boobies, man. Especially the boobies. The boobies really make it all worth it. Alright. Oh.
But the red-footed booty. Red, but also the red-footed booby. Oh, Jordan's new necklace.
That is going to be in my necklace.
So next time you see coral, you'd be like, this is what happened to the last coral that messed with me.
That's right. Say that again. Say it again. I will turn you into this.
In this episode of Sailing Doodles, we leave Bahrain and sail up to Belitung, where we spend 2 beautiful nights before checking out so that we can head to Singapore. I stayed behind to work on the boat while the gang headed ashore to do some exploring in Bahrain. As much as we love the Indonesian people and their country, it really is sad to see how much rubbish washes up on their shores.
Hello.
Okay. Bye, thank you.
Well, maybe have fixed the autopilot. I'm not sure. There was a loose wire, see, under the bed here. That is the autopilot control unit. It's an AC42. It's a pretty popular brand. The problem was is that the wire that engaged the drive, like it sent out the signal to the drive to move, that wire was pretty loose. There's like a little plug. So I reattached that. I was finally able to... I don't know, there's some kind of software issue too. I wasn't able to reset all the autopilot functions earlier, so I just depowered everything, unplugged everything, disconnected all the wiring. I actually moved ports. So if you know anything about boats, the way the systems work these days is it's kind of like a computer network. You have these network cables, or NMEA, or whatever you say them. So I just changed all those around, reset everything on the chart plotter, and so it powered back up, it added all the right components, and let me reset the autopilot, which was good. And then I calibrated the autopilot as well as I can do at the dock side. You have to do a tuning when you actually go out at sea, but the gang is on shore having fun right now. I'm stuck on the boat. They're having fun. I'm on the boat. Since I had the boat to myself today, I thought I'd do some routine maintenance, changing the oil. Oh man, that was hard. If you're gonna do the oil, get yourself one of these things. Oil extractor. Makes it super easy. I don't have an oil filter wrench. I was doing it by hand, just wasn't working. So last resort, put a screwdriver through it. And then I was able to turn it to get it off. Now I'm just draining it. But it scared me for a minute because I put the screwdriver all the way through and was turning as hard as I could and couldn't get it to go, and it was just tearing the filter. I was like, oh no. But finally it went. Anyway, it's tough work. That evening we set off on an over 300-mile sail to Belitung. You notice no one's sitting behind a wheel, which means we think the autopilot's working. It's worked now for about an hour perfectly. We tried to turn it on when we left, it didn't work. And I just was sitting behind the wheel, I was tired, I figured I'd try it, hit the button on, it works. I don't know. It's a mystery. But I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, very good.
Not very long after, the autopilot failed yet again. How do you like sailing without an autopilot?
I like sailing with a fanny pack.
Okay, first off, fanny packs are ridiculous. And second, that's not the question I asked. How do you like sailing without a fanny pack?
I don't know how to answer that, Bobby.
How do you like sailing without an autopilot?
I feel like I'm gone to the gym. I'm wrestling with the helm. It's harder than wrestling with you.
So the autopilot briefly worked the other day, but for a couple hours, and then it stopped working again. We've got a new autopilot going to meet us in Singapore, but we're still 500 miles to Singapore. So we've already gone about 500 miles. We've gone about 500 miles without an autopilot. We got another 500 miles to go. So long way to go. If anybody's ever done it, that's a tough thing. Thankfully, we have crew members here to share the load. Say hi, Jun Song.
Ginseng. Watch out, the camera's on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Say hi.
So what we've been doing is 2-hour shifts. You know, normally with 4 people, I do a 3-hour shift because, you know, every 12 hours, it works out pretty well. Everybody gets 9 hours off, 3 hours on. But with hand steering for 3 hours is a bear, especially. I mean, we got 20 knots of wind right now. It's a workout. So we're doing 2-hour shifts. So it's 2 hours on, 6 hours off, hand steering all the way. All right, about 52 hours, no autopilot. It really is not much fun. If anybody's done much sailing without an autopilot, it's not much fun. So we're here now. Belatung is the name of the island. We're getting ready. That gets a little tricky when the wind's up. It's a big sail. If we ever run out of sail, we'll just hoist that up and we can go. One of the more frequent problems we have is actually coming to shore, is picking your way to shore because you don't know where the clear channels are. We've never been here before. And knowing where the bommies are and where they're not. Like, there's a big one right there, maybe. I think it's high tide too right now, so this would be really hard if it's low tide. All right, this island is Belatung. It's like the whitest sand beach we've seen in Indonesia yet. Very nice. And this is the cleanest beach we've seen in Indonesia too.
The cleanest beach all month, but the only one I would even put a foot in.
Very nice, Belatung. I think it's kind of a resort area. I don't see too many people here though. Occasionally, apparently this is like one of the big cruiser stops for sailboats, but we're the only boat in the anchorage right now. This whole place is set up pretty cool. There's lots of beach houses, guest houses, and lots of bars and restaurants. I mean, like there's coming up here, there's hundreds of seats, but there's nobody here. Maybe it's either a daytime place or we're out of season, I don't know.
Or the volcano's about to explode and we don't know it.
That's exactly what. Where are you gonna go when the volcano blows?
On White Squall.
The granite boulders reminded me of the baths of Virgin Gorda. A friendly local showed us to the perfect place to watch the sunset.
Ow.
This looks almost exactly like the baths at Virgin Gorda, although there's like nobody here.
It's VIP.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can come here. I mean, like, so we were looking at some places earlier. You can get a really nice little room on the beach, air conditioning, nice bed, and everything
For 400,000.
Yeah, it's like $26 a night, or you can get just a basic shack for like $10 a night. Pretty
And
awesome.
There was a room and there was a bathroom just as big as the room, and it was outside. And like.
Well, there's like a wall all the way around it, but there's no roof on the bathroom. It's kind of weird.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No, it was like
Yeah.
been in Indonesia 1 month, and it's time to check out.
First thing we do, we got our driver here. We found him on the beach there. Nice guy. Say hello.
Hello.
Take us to immigration first, then customs. We have to pick up customs, drive him back to the boat where he inspects the boat, go back to customs, do the paperwork, then go to the Port Authority, check out with the Port Authority, then we get our clearance to leave. We're hoping to get this all done in one day.
Because you have to take me to the beach, Bobby.
Oh, right.
You take me to the beach. It looks like the baths here.
It does. It's pretty gorgeous. We're also buying diesel. So we just gave him all our jerry cans, and he's going to fill those up. And there you go. We're on our way. Can't believe it. It's getting close to the end.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
It's puppy time.
Yeah, I'm ready to see my dogs.
Are you trying to forget me back there?
Be nice. All right, let's go get unimmigrated. All right, we're all checked out. Had one little hiccup there. We checked in on the 16th of last month, and we had a 30-day visa. Today's the 15th. I do the math. That's 30 days. No, they count the first day as day 0 or day 1. So even though it's only 30 days, they're saying no, it's been 31. So we had to pay a little fee. We had to pay about $20 a person to get our passports all checked out. Now we are at customs. They have their own volleyball court. It's kind of cool.
Does that mean you need a pastime here?
I don't know. Most customs officials don't want to be recorded, so we weren't able to film them going to the boat and back. And then it was down to health quarantine. Well, while Laura's having fun on the beach with baby sea turtles, I am stuck here waiting on the quarantine officials to come back. I don't know why quarantine needs to see us when we leave, but the Port Authority won't give us clearance without the okay from sick or something. They already did when we checked in. I don't know. It's dumb. They were supposed to be back from their lunch break half an hour ago, and they're still not back yet. The bureaucracy here and the amount of paperwork you need is crazy. And they want copies of everything, so I made copies of everything. But the problem is I went to customs and checked out, and they gave me paperwork. Well, the Port Authority wants copies of that paperwork. And customs didn't give me any, so I had to go and find a copy machine and make it. It's just... wasting away, waiting on paperwork. It's the Indonesian way. So
Safety man, Cebu 10 Golf, and the patient has arrived with the medic unit. France Valley, Pepperwood deserves it.
For $1 a piece, the Turtle Sanctuary lets you free some turtles.
France 1 training air to good again.
While they were having fun, I was still waiting over an hour for paperwork. All right, so all this work all day has been to get this bunch of papers. It's from the harbor master, it's from immigration, it's customs, and quarantine, saying we're okay to leave Indonesia. The next place we go to will want to see this, because if we don't have this paper and our proper order and all that stuff signed, triplicate, and stamped, then they think we left the country illegally, which we didn't. So we have to get all this. But anyway, thank you so much for taking us around.
Yep.
I'll put his
10 Golf.
email in the show notes.
Echo Medic.
And if you come to Belitung and need help getting in and out or getting diesel or anything, he's the guy to talk to.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pretty long day. It's 4:30. We started at 8 this morning. That's how long it took to check out. But got it done. Rewarding myself with a beer. The guys and the girl are out there playing with turtle or something. I don't know. I think we're going to try to leave around midnight tonight because the guys got to get back. They're going to catch a flight. So we need to hurry to get there. And it'd be nice to leave a little bit early so we don't have to. We've been motor sailing a lot just because we've always been on a schedule, right? We got to make it in time to clear customs and all that stuff.
Safety. Echo Medic.
We're going to hurry.
We free baby sea turtles.
Yeah, meet the turtle.
Oh, yeah?
Did one. Yeah.
Smoking.
That evening, the locals grilled some fish fresh from the ocean. All the Indonesians we met were very friendly and giving, and I can't wait to go back. Be sure to check out our new channel, Flying Doodles. This video will be out tomorrow.
We're a little slow, so the nose kind of scoops out down below. Not a big deal, then you can just lift it back up to the right. Now, even pilots, myself included, if you don't do aerobatics ever or rarely, you will start feeling, you might start feeling nauseous. So I can make
Branch 1 training, intercept,
tingly, then let me know. I'm okay.